How is everybody doing today? My name is Willie Pewitt, the host of Conversations on the Fairway, and I am so excited today that today is February 1st, 2021, and we are going to dive into what I call the black experience in golf, rather it's amateur golf or professional golf, and we're going to talk about the impact that we as African Americans have in the golf game. I mean, of course, people know who Tiger is, one of the world's best golfers. But before there was a Tiger, there were many, many other people before that came before him. So what I'm going to suggest to you guys is that when you get an opportunity, there's a documentary called Uneven Fairways. And it's about the men and women that love the game of golf, just like I do, and their journeys on what they had to go through to get to the point where I actually have the opportunity to do and play, or should I say teach and play professional golf, and I just absolutely love what I do. So we're just going to, like I said, talk about some of the few things that we have contributed to the game of golf. Rather, we're talking about inventions, whether we're talking about playing the game at a professional level, if we're talking about teaching the game to juniors, adults, whether we're talking about having places the kids play tournaments. I mean, these days, it is just an explosion that has happened that you'll be able to send your son or your daughter where they can go play in tournaments. We're in Michigan, across the state of Michigan, and that has good competition as well. So I just want to talk about just a few things, and we'll kind of start at the beginning of level, what I mean like the junior golf level. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see the documentary, the first part of the documentary of the Tiger Woods story, how his father helped him along, taught him, absolute wonderful, but he had the love for the game of golf. Okay, so it starts off, what I see in my part of the golf is that when you're teaching, it may start off with a grandparent. It may start off with an aunt that played golf. It might start off with a cousin that brings another cousin. There's different ways where people kind of enter the golf world, as a child, okay? Part of my story is that how I got started into it, I was with a friend of mine, and we were going through his garage to his backyard, and I saw some golf clubs in the corner, and I asked him, what are those? He says, those are his grandfather's golf clubs. So I'm like, do you mind if I try to swing one? He showed me how to hold the golf club, and I took one swipe at the ball, totally missed it. That's about normal. I took the second swipe at the ball, it went about 100 yards. And for me, that's when I got attached to golf, okay? As years were going on, back when I was coming up, I really didn't have nobody to actually teach me the game of golf. So there were two books I read that even still today, I really stick to those books because it was two books I read when I first started off. The number one book I read was Jack Nicklaus' Golf My Way. Okay, so I end up getting a copy of the book. My father ordered it for me. I got a copy of the book, and that's mainly how I learned how to play golf, because I couldn't find nobody that wanted to really teach me the game of golf. So, this was back in 1981, 82, maybe between 1980 and 83 is when I started to really learn the game of golf. So then as I started to get into high school, I played on the golf team in high school, and then that's when I ran into my teacher that I currently have today that taught me how to play the game of golf. So, it's important, of course times are different now, but it's important, it's okay if you look at videos. Okay, that's fine. But you really need someone to actually watch you and actually teach you. Now, I know we fast forward to 2021. I mean, there's an oversaturation of videos and apps, and you go look on YouTube. But I mean, you got the golf channel. You have independent people on YouTube. I mean, it could be really confusing to a lot of people. So in my teachings, I always run into people that they looked at, say, 100 different videos. Okay, they looked at 100 different people trying to teach, the game of golf to them, and people get confused. Okay, there's a lot of confusion that's going on right now because, to me, in my opinion, it's just too much information that's going on right now. It's too many things. It's too many people. You had too many access to too many different types of teaching. So one of the first things I do when I get a student in front of me, especially a junior student, I just talk to the parents and let them know we have to understand that we need one voice. Okay, one person to teach your child. Okay, well, I even say that to adults too, but you need one person to teach. Okay, and it just makes things a lot easier. Now, if we go back, okay, if you guys saw the intro to the video, I mean, the men and women that you saw in the beginning of that video, they most definitely didn't have too many people to teach them. But the one thing you'll see, and I encourage you to watch the video, it's called Uneven Fairways, and the one thing that you'll notice that's kind of the string that's between everybody is a lot of the golfers that you see, they started off being caddies. Okay, caddies at country clubs, and through them being caddies, they would watch other people play the game, especially at a high level. When the PGA Tour came through, or really good amateur golfers, they would watch them play. Okay, and a lot of times I know that when I first started out, I would just watch people play. I wouldn't talk to them. I would see what they were doing, and I would try to mimic what I saw. Okay, and of course you're going to create some bad habits by doing that, but at that time I didn't have anybody. Okay, so the one thing that really pushes me to want to be really, really great at what I do is because of my experience. Okay, my experience of not having someone to guide you through this maze. I mean, now it's a lot better, but back when I was growing up, man, I just wish I had someone that would have sat down and took the time to teach me. Just like you saw those other great men and women in the beginning of the intro. I mean, a lot of those guys and men and women were self-taught, okay? Or they caddied for someone that was at a very high level and paid attention to what they were doing. And I mean, if you look at a lot of those stories, I mean, you have people that started off learning how to play golf with sticks, and they would get tree limbs, and they would use different kind of nuts and stuff to hit the balls to mimic it, or if they were caddying at the club or whatever, if somebody hits a ball out of bounds into the woods, they would, after they get done working, would go in the woods and try to find those golf balls. I mean, fast forward to 2021, I mean, it is totally different of having the access to the game, but as you start to go up in golf, of course it starts to get harder. But that's one of my passions of wanting to teach kids as young as possible, okay, because I didn't have that. So that drives me. That's the fire that keeps me going, because I know that they may not get it now, but as time goes on, they may start golf, they may stop golf, but they'll always remember that one guy that took the time to show them properly how to hold the golf club, okay, how to stand, your posture. These are simple things that I wish at the time, back then, that I had somebody to teach me, actually talk to me, is what I'm saying. You can read a book all you want to, you can visualize it, but until you have somebody actually speaking to you about it, I mean, it makes a world of difference, okay? So, like I said, I encourage you to watch the documentary, okay? And then through this whole month, we will show clips of the documentaries, and you'll see that the different people that have helped shape not only me, because when I really saw myself in golf, that's when I really started to excel in golf. Because, you know, back then, you know, you would look at TV, you know, I would go and cut the grass on a Saturday and kind of get them outside chores done in the summertime, and then I would come in and watch golf. And the one thing that frustrated me the most is I didn't see people that looked like me. Okay, I didn't see anyone that looked like me that was playing the game, but I lived on the east side of Detroit at the time. So I would look at TV, really don't see nobody that looks like me, but when I went and played golf, the whole golf course was filled up people with me, and I was really conflicted at that time, okay? Until the first person that I saw on television that was black was Lee Elder, okay? He was playing in the Masters, I believe it was like in the early 80s, that I actually saw him. I mean, you guys are probably laughing at me now, but I used to have a 13-inch black and white TV, okay? And that's when I was watching, I'm like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? I actually see somebody that looks like me playing the game that I love, and that even gave me more fire. And then I began to see a gentleman named Calvin Pete. That gave me even more fire to not only want to learn the game of golf, to play the game of golf, but to ultimately want to teach this great game. I mean, you know, the difference, you know, golf is like going from checkers to chess. I mean, it is one of the most frustrating, will get you angry. You hit a great shot, you start to love it. I mean, it will absolutely humble you through this game, you know, and I will bring this up as well, you know, granted that Tiger Woods was the #1 player in the world for just a little over 10 years. I mean, think about that for a moment. If you were the #1 person in whatever your field is that you are right now, whatever your field is, if you were the #1 person for 10 years, that is a long time. Do you know how many people he had to beat in a 10-year period of time? It's astronomical. I mean, just to get to that point, you know what I'm saying? So that's an extraordinary feat. Now, if we go backwards and say we go to Calvin Pete. Calvin Pete was the #1 on the PGA Tour of hitting the fairway for 10 straight years. I think he missed one fairway in 10 years. And I just thought one day, he did that for 10 years. Tiger did this for 10 years. Like, what is this 10-year thing? I mean, we're going to talk about the psychology behind golf, but 10 years, that is an awful long time to be playing golf at that level for 10 straight years. I think that's extraordinary. Okay, I don't know. Matter of fact, after Tiger lost the #1 player for 10 years, I don't think no one has even come close. I think the longest period of time I saw somebody, I believe, was maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. I mean, to be at that high level for that long, I mean, you want to talk about having a target on your back. That is actually extraordinary, okay, that he stayed at that level for so long. But if you're looking at things that's happened now, you have to go backwards, okay? You have to know the history and the trials and tribulations that people went through to open up doors for Tiger to get to that point. Now, I will say this moving forward, and my experiences of teaching now, the game of golf is going to change. There are so many good junior golfers right now. I mean, a lot of good junior golfers that are playing right now. And like I said, the access to the game has gotten better. Golf is much more different than other sports because golf, I'm not saying that you don't have to train through the other sports, but with actually any sport, you need to start them early. Okay? We need to start them really, really early because if you notice that anyone that's great in any sport or anything else started when they were young. Now, everybody doesn't start at that young point. You have people like Michael Jordan. I believe that he got cut one time in high school. Okay, so everybody, you know, there's a lot of people that got to the high school level and maybe they just got introduced to something. Okay, like me. I was introduced maybe like around middle school, introduced to the game of golf. I didn't really flourish until I got into college. That's when I started to really jump to the next level. So I was a late bloomer, and I run into that a lot. A lot of kids that are just late bloomers, and or they didn't know about the game, or they knew about the game, and they just simply did not have someone to teach them. Okay, so I'm saying is that, you know, you never know if you like something until you try it. Okay? Now, for the parents, there are so many scholarships out there for golf that they're going by the wayside. Okay? So if, you know, you put a plan together and say, hey, you know, once you find out that your child likes something, invest in it. Okay? Is golf expensive? Yes, it can be, but there are affordable ways to get your child lessons. There are affordable ways for you to get your child on the golf course, going to the driving range. Yes, I mean, you know, it's just like any other sport. Okay, you're going to need time, training. Okay, yeah, I know basketball is cheaper, football is cheaper. I mean, soccer, but the training that goes into it is all the same. Okay? Rather, like I said, you're training for that, you're training for hockey, whatever the sport is, okay, you still have to train. Okay? You still got to do your push-ups, still got to do your sit-ups, you still got to, all those things are still going into it. Okay? Now, a lot of times what happens is that parents make this mistake. They push their kids too hard. Okay? I believe my teaching method is to build on top of things and build on top of it. Okay? You can't go from the first floor to the 20th floor because there's 19 floors in between there. Okay? Build it. Build that foundation first, then we can go up. You can't go from not building foundation, just building a building, it's going to fall. And I see that a lot too. Parents push their kids too hard, and then all of a sudden when they get around 17, 18 years old, they lose the love of the game. Now, mind you, that could be any sport. Okay? That could be any sport at all. You know your child, and I feel no matter where they are, building a foundation like this, I feel is a consistent way to do it. Okay, there are certain points that I will push to press them to get better because, you know, pressure makes a diamond. Okay, so if we put some pressure there, they're going to flourish. But if you overwhelm them, they'll lose their love. So, you know, sometimes you'll end up killing a dream by trying to push them too hard. Okay? And once again, through all the sports, because I played a lot of sports, before I chose this one, that's consistently the same. I see that consistently through all sports. And sometimes some parents will say, hey, look at him or look at him. You know, everybody has their own unique things that they do and the levels that they go. You know what I'm saying? So when you sit here and say, well, look at your cousin, you know, look at your uncle, look, I don't really go by that. You know what I'm saying? You could say, hey, look at their accomplishments, or look how hard they're working, or look at these different strategies that they're using. You can do that, but don't put that pressure on them to try to live up to this person. They're their own person. You know, Tiger Woods is a very accomplished golfer, okay? I point to the accomplishments. Well, you need to be the next Tiger. No, you need to be the next whoever you are, okay? That's very, very important, okay? You need to be your best at who you are, okay? The ceiling has been set. We know what his accomplishments are, okay? You can compare the two, but you're going to be you. You're going to do what you do, okay? So we have to be very, very careful about how you push kids into something, okay? Give them some goals, okay? But don't make it so it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable, and when you make it work, that's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? When you make it more difficult as a parent is what I'm talking about. As a parent, when you put these goals or these expectations onto your children, because a lot of times I find out that parents put these unrealistic expectations onto their children that they can't even meet that level as a parent, or they're trying to live through their children. Think about that for a second. Are you helping your child to get better because you want them to be better? Or are you trying to help your child to be better because you want to live through your children? Because you couldn't meet this level. That's something that you really want to think about. Okay? Myself, I don't push my children like that. I introduce things to them, and I see what they like, and then I support it. But I never try and live through my children, okay? There are levels that I've reached myself, and I'll say, well, if you want to do what I do, this is what I've done. Now let's see how to get you past that, okay? Rather it's in school, your grades, or whatever situation may be. This is the level that your father got to. Now, from that point right there, you know, okay, when I get to this level, okay, I've accomplished all these things, and now we're looking to the next goal. To the next goal, okay? And one thing that I see through all sports is that some kids will say as they're growing up, no matter what sport it is, they want to get to the professional level. Okay, so you're playing professional ball, basketball, baseball, hockey, or whatever. And then sometimes what happens when they get to that level, they flatline. They don't ever go higher than that, because when they made that goal, they hit the goal. Okay, what's the next goal? Okay, you'll see it in all sports now. I want to become a professional golfer and get on tour. You'll ask them this when they're 8, 9, 10. They get to that level, they start to play, and then all of a sudden, they're just barely in it. It's because they didn't set their next goal. You'll see it a lot. Kids in college, or say they're coming out of high school. All of a sudden, they're the number one, whatever, basketball player in the state. Then they go to college. They get to college, and then, man, they explode in college. Because their whole goal was to get to the league. They get to the league, and you're thinking, man, okay, now we got to the point where we're going to start making money for my efforts. They get to the league, and then all of a sudden, they start to fizzle out. The reason they fizzle out because their whole goal was to get to the league. They got to the league, and then next thing you know, they never went no higher. Okay, so I deal with this all the time. I have a couple of people that I'm training with right now. They're on the tour. They get on the tour, and now I immediately say to them, what's the next goal? Do you want to be rookie of the year? Do you want to be the leading money winner? Do you want to play in so many tournaments and get a scoring average of this? Continue to make goals. It could be just like going to school. Hey, I want to go to school to be an accountant. Okay, so you go to college, you get your degree, you take your certifications. Well, what's the next step? They may be a good accountant. They may be doing what they say they want to do. What's the next step? Do you want to own your own business, or do you want to work for somebody? What's the next step? Do you want multiple locations? What's the next step? What's the next step? That's what happens to a lot of people. They start to do something, they meet that goal, and then they stop. What is it that you want? Keep going. Don't stop. Okay? And how I look at the history of golf for African Americans is we got that first level, boom, they want to play. They just want to get on the golf course. And at one point, we couldn't even get on the golf course. We were always servants on the golf course. Okay? We were around people that was, playing golf and making a lot of money, and then all of a sudden, some people started to say, hey, and I see this a lot, I could play better than what they're doing. So then they get the opportunity to play. Okay? Then all of a sudden they get, well, I want to be on tour. They get out on tour. Okay? But what happens a lot of times is they don't have the money, the money and the access to go to the next level. Okay? And I know we're going to talk about this at another time, but there's enough of us to help support, just like in any other sport, to help support those. And I see this a lot. I'll have uncles and aunts, they'll call me to get lessons for their kids. They're not interested in golf. Maybe they don't even have children, but they have the finances to help them move. I have some kids right now that their parents don't have the money, but an aunt or an uncle has the money, and they've been helping them get to the next level, helping them having the same type of equipment. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world, but if your equipment isn't at the top level, I mean, you can have some equipment that's lesser than that, and I've seen it. They come in with some old clubs. Will beat up on the kids that have everything perfect. I mean, all the proper equipment, shoes, everything, gloves, the high-end balls. I mean, everything that you would want. And then I've seen kids come along that have 10-year-old clubs. The grips are falling off. I mean, they have golf balls that they found in the water or in the woods. And I've seen kids step on a golf course and just annihilate the kids that have the top equipment and have the top training, have the top coaches, and just beat up on them. So what does that tell me? That tells me that, you know what? I put some money behind them in equipment. I go out and get the money from other people to get them proper equipment, to get them the proper shoes. And then they make that leap. Okay? I mean, it is just totally amazing to me that, get that child that doesn't have anything, like, say, a brand new driver. That technology, I mean, a driver may cost $500. They could never, ever get that on their own. But I'll have somebody come along and say, hey, I'll go buy that. And these kids will go out there. I mean, I search for kids. I mean, I'll go to places that the PGA Tour won't go. I'll go to places that a lot of these high-end golf instructors would never step in, areas they would never go to. I've pulled kids out of there that have graduated from college, man. I mean, if I showed you pictures of where they came from, you wouldn't even believe it. But the point being is that just shows you, give someone the opportunity and the proper tools, and someone that cares they can make a jump. And that's why when I asked you to go look at this video, Uneven Fairways, that right there, you know, I mean, you just look at this. A lot of these kids, a lot of these adults in this documentary right here, handed down clubs, things that are broken, they put them together. I mean, it is absolutely amazing what they had to work with and what level they got to. Okay, I've had someone donate 30 sets of golf clubs to give the kids. And I'm not talking about no garbage. I'm talking about top-notch golf clubs, technology-wise. Top-notch golf clubs for these kids to get out there, and I'm telling you, if you see what I see, it's the opportunity. It's just giving them that more than chance of having the proper equipment, and they're going out there beating up on people, man. It is totally amazing to me that these kids that may not have ever thought about playing golf, never. I mean, golf, they're like, golf what? That they go out there and they get proper training. There's 3 things that you need to really get to the next level. You need good equipment. You need an awesome coach, instructor to get you the proper knowledge, and you need competition. Those 3 things right there that I just mentioned to you, if you get those 3 things right there, that's like the secret in the sauce. Those 3 things right there. And I promise you, like I said, once again, that's with any sport now. Okay? They will thrive. And I am telling you this right now. The face of golf, what you see now, is not going to look like that 10 years from now. That much I promise you. It's going to be totally, totally different within the next 10 years. Okay, so, and I am so glad that I have the opportunity to witness this. Okay, I have a front row seat right now. You know what I'm saying? Through my teachings and through, like I said, the podcast. I mean, there are things that I can show you, and you will be utterly, utterly amazed. Now, listen, if you are in the Detroit area and you are looking for instruction for you or your child, or you know, maybe you have a corporate job and they have some outings coming, this is the perfect time to get lessons right now. Okay? While it's cold outside, we can go indoors, we can hit out for a simulator. I mean, and just get you on this great road, because this game is a great game, okay? And we want you to be a part of it, okay? So if you would just go to DetroitLessons.com, you know, send us a message and we'll set up some lessons for you and get you started, okay? So listen, I just, you know, enjoy coming in front of you. I love what I do, okay, and give you this information. And then next week, we're going to continue this on through this series right here of showing you our contributions into the game of golf. So my name is Willie Pewitt. I'm host of Conversations on the Fairway, and we'll see you next week. Golf lessons. Your butt of the club is too far forward. Now here's the thing, if it's too far forward, when you take the club back, you're going to look like you're chopping wood. Okay. That's why I always adjust your hand position, because you want your hand to be right of your belly button but no further than your first belt loop. So that ball position is created when we do this. I need you to take the club, get your hands in a proper position, and take the club out. Yes. The club has to go out. Yes. To stay in front of you. then rotate to the top. Take it out, hold it. That should feel totally different.
Yes.
Okay, now you can attack the ball now.
Okay.
Go.
Oh, a lot better.
I can sit down and have a Corona now, man. I ain't even got to wait for that, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Consistency is better than perfection.
Okay, that's true. It's true. Oh, that was money.
I'm about to sit down, dog, because I can't take all this success that's running around here, dog.
He's down the plate.